For those of you arriving at my YouTube channel for the first time, I just want to explain to you what I'm doing here. I'm a retirement coach, for want of a better word. I don't like the word retirement because it conjures up images of old age and walking frames and forgetfulness. But for want of a better word, I'm talking about that period in our 60s, maybe early 70s, when we look at changing our lifestyle to suit our being slightly older, whether that means giving up work or not. I spoke earlier about what is a holistic retirement plan, and I looked at various aspects. In the last two videos, we've unpacked health. Now, today, I'm going to take this one step further and move on to social networking. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, when I was sort of outlining the holistic plan, that when we're at work, we have a lot of social interaction. For most cases, some people work in isolated environments, but on the whole, we interact with other people. If we're working for companies, even if we're working on our own, offering a service, we're interacting with people. But once we leave work, we leave those friends behind. Apologize for my dogs. They're wanting some social interaction too. I found when I was working, running small companies of my own, I didn't have energy for many friendships. And I had probably 5 or 6 tried and tested friends who I saw once a month or so. But once I retired, that certainly wasn't enough. I needed more social interaction because I wasn't getting much of it in my part-time little bit of coaching work that I was doing. So I set about growing my social circle. What I want to refer to now is a study by someone called Robert Waldinger that I found, I think, on a TEDx talk. He started in 1938 and he took about 700 teenage men and he's followed them. And the last reference I found just now on the internet was 2017, where some of his candidates were in their 90s. But he found a distinct link between meaningful relationships and longevity. In 2017, he still had about 60 people in the study who were in their 90s. I'm not sure what's happened now, 4 or 5 years later. That's not the person you pass on your way to the grocery store and you say, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you," and move on. That is someone you know well. You can pick up the phone and call them when you feel down, frustrated. It's the first person you think of phoning when something really good has happened to you. I know I have quite a variety of close friends, and they all meet different needs for me. And in fact, having moved to the country, most of my long-term friendships are still back in the city. And this weekend, I have one of them coming to stay with me. And I'm really excited because that's someone I've known for 30 or 40 years. And we can pick up where we left off. That's what I mean by a meaningful relationship. Yes, sure, I have plenty of friends that I can talk about the weather and I can talk about COVID and discuss maybe my latest work project briefly. But I'm not talking about those friendships. I'm talking about the friendships that very often have come through maybe since you studied, maybe since you first started work. People who know you really well and have seen you through up and through down, through thick and through thin. Those are meaningful friendships. And when we reach retirement, they're very important because those people are usually going into so-called retirement as well. I know one gets onto a stage later on. I watched my parents. They went through a stage where every single month they went to a funeral for one of their meaningful relationships. So it's good to build them up. So how do you do it? I'm putting that to the test in a new town. One has to go out there and meet people and find out who you actually relate well with. One way I know I did it when I first retired was I stopped going to the gym at 7 in the morning or at 6 in the evening. I went at 9 or 10 in the morning, and I found the classes then to be filled with people who had retired. Join a hiking group, but join one that goes mid-morning, midweek, because those are the people who are not working and are able to be around when you want them to be. At the same time, I have signed up recently with a group in the US called encore.org. They are a non-profit organization helping people with encore careers. I think that they've shifted a little bit, and there's a lot of social element in their projects. And they are, the emails that I'm getting from them are pushing a strong agenda of mixing the generations. There's also some articles going out that I'm seeing on LinkedIn and even on Facebook and newsletters of multi-generational houses, people who are living with teenagers and young families and older people. They're finding this to be an excellent recipe for keeping the aging population younger in spirit. It may, for our generation, require understanding Gen Xers and millennials. They think differently from us. We're going to have to get into that. But it's a very interesting concept. I enjoy living on my own, so it's not something I would consider, but it is becoming I know I met a couple in Cape Town who had a house that they were renting out the rooms to older people, but they were a young couple with small children because they found the mix to be very pleasant. So there are many ways we can meet people, but sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself is not going to do it. You're going to have to be brave. You're going to have to step out there and go and look for people who are interested in the same things as you. I remember going back to my 30s, people saying, well, why don't you join a tennis club? You'll meet people that way. And I said, doesn't help. I don't enjoy playing tennis. I did, however, go for bridge lessons, and I met some very interesting people there who are still friends of mine to this day because we met over something that was interesting to us. So it's a case of exploring, what are you really interested in? Finding the people who are doing that because they will also be interested in it. So I hope I've stimulated some ideas for you. In my book, 7 Questions to Answer Before You Retire, which is available on Amazon, you can find more about this. I've written a whole chapter on increasing your social network.